Hi, this is Stephanie Anderson, and this is my EDSP 620 course reflection. Prior to this course, I had a fair amount of teaching experience. I've worked as a substitute teacher and a tutor in various different districts, some of which were more diverse, such as Aurora Public Schools, and some of which were more affluent and very less diverse, such as Douglas County. Despite all of my teaching experience, I still had a few misconceptions coming into this course. I did hold some misconceptions regarding multicultural learners. I've heard a fair amount of misconceptions, such as they aren't as capable, they don't want to learn, learning is more difficult, there's cultural barriers, so on and so forth. After taking this course, I've learned that none of these are true. Most of these difficulties lie in the way that we teach, the way that we present things, and not just for our multicultural students or our low students, it's for all of our students. The universal design for learning incorporates the recognition, strategic, and effective networks to encompass ways to push all of our students, to increase excellence in the low, middle, and the high students. I often thought I had to teach to the middle students because it was my largest group, the most effective over the most amount of students. I really struggled with diversifying for the low, the middle, and the high, ways of scaffolding the low students while still pushing the high students. UDLs really showed me that with multiple means of representation, expression, and engagement, I can push all of my students to success and the best of their abilities. Every student needs to have options and ways to present their ideas, ways to intake their ideas, and I've also learned that every student is different. And these differences don't lie in their skin color or their cultural background. These differences are in the way they learn, the way they process, the way that information should be presented to them. My service learning really contributed to this understanding. My service learning site was located at the Martin Luther King Library in Aurora, Colorado. The students at our site came from various different backgrounds, socioeconomically, racially, culturally. All the students were different, and all of which were at this site because they were struggling in school. And what I learned, especially with talking to my student who I worked with, is that he didn't connect with the way his teacher was presenting things. The boy really struggled with ADHD, he had some visual impairments, and he could not sit still. But the poor kid was bored in school, and it was a matter of the teacher presenting everything in textbook format. He couldn't connect with it, it was difficult for him to read. He kept telling me how hard school was, but when he was with me it was the opposite. Everything was coming easily, he was having fun, but I learned that it was the way that I was presenting it to him, but also the way I was letting him express his knowledge for me. I wasn't making him sit and write a paper like his teacher normally does for him because it's difficult for him. I allowed him to use the iPad or to draw pictures or to show other ways that incorporated his knowledge rather than forcing him to fit my format. The service learning site was a great experience because it allowed me to interact with students of all different abilities, all different backgrounds, but all of which were succeeding. It showed me that this idea of multicultural learners isn't some sort of barrier. It's something that we need to understand. All students are individuals, and all of which need to use technology or other ways that can incorporate expression for them. I've learned that with my future teaching, I want to have all my students to have options, ways to succeed, ways that they can show their own strengths. I don't want any of my students to have to fit into a single mold. And I also don't want to continue to teach to the middle. I understand that some of my lower students might be very capable, but they need the assistive technology or the scaffolding or the teacher support to get them there. And I don't want to forget about my high kids either. I want to ensure that they're being pushed, they're being challenged, and that they're also having fun. I want all of my students to enjoy what they were doing, but also incorporate new and fun ideas such as iPad apps, ways of digital representation. The kids these days are so quick with technology that I've learned that I need to do my best to incorporate these programs for all levels of students. I don't want to use technology just to push the low kids, but also for the middle and the high kids as well. This course has done a lot for me in regards to my misconceptions, ways to incorporate things into my classroom, I've had a lot of experience, but none of which was regarding UDL. This has really shown me how the brain works, how it processes, and how I need to implement that into my own classroom. I will ensure that every assignment that I assign to my students has options, ways of representation. I want to ensure that all of my kids' needs are being met, visual, auditorily, kinesthetically. This class has done an excellent job for showing me that there are ways for all students to succeed, and there are no such thing as solid barriers. All of these barriers can be broken down with technology, support, and options.